Hey everyone, welcome to Octopus ITES. So in previous episodes we have seen the basics, the programming basics, and also we have seen the Android basics. In today's episode we are going to start with the requirements which are needed in order to develop your Android applications. So what kind of hardware you require, what kind of software you require, what are the minimum requirements. We are going to discuss all those in detail in today's episode. So let's start with the requirements. Okay, so let's start with the hardware requirements. In order to carry out the Android application development, we need at least 3 GB of RAM, which is physical memory. So 3 GB is minimum RAM requirement. The 8 GB RAM is the recommended memory required to carry out the application development, and if you are going to execute your applications onto emulator, which is provided by the Android Studio, that is the software which we are going to use to carry out our application development. So for emulator you need at least 1 GB of more RAM so that it will run your applications easily and in smooth manner. So in short, you need at least 3 GB of RAM, 8 GB which is recommended, and 1 GB more for emulator provided by Android Studio. Now we are going to need at least 2 GB of hard disk space and 4 GB which is recommended for installing all the necessary softwares to be executed on our PCs or workstations, you can say anywhere. Out of these 2 GB minimum requirement for hard disk space, we need 1.5 GB for Android's SDK, that is nothing but software development kit provided by Android Studio, and 500 MB for Android Studio IDE. So now we need a monitor having 1280 by 800 as a minimum screen resolution, and if you are going to use the accelerated emulator, you will need Intel i3 processor, which is recommended for carrying out the application development. That includes some features that are needed for accelerated emulators such as Intel VTX and execute disable bit functionality or AMDV, which we will discuss while doing the actual application development. So these are the hardware requirements which will carry out the Android application development on your workstations. So make sure you have fulfilled the mentioned hardware requirements. Now let's discuss the software requirements. Let's start with the operating system first. What operating system you should have for application development? You will need either Windows OS version 7, 8, 8.1 or 10, Mac OS version 10.10 or higher, or Linux OS with GNOME or KDE environment, for example Ubuntu operating system. We are going to use Android Studio IDE for carrying out the complete application development. As of now, we are going to use the latest version, that is 2.3.1 of Android Studio IDE, and we are going to show you the installation on Windows and Linux OS as well. So these are the requirements for carrying out the application development. Now let's move towards the installation.
Okay, so let's first download the Android Studio IDE. I'll put the link in the description from where you can download it. Okay, so click on download Android Studio. You need to check the agreement. Okay, and now click on download Android Studio. This IDE is of 1.8 GB and it will take some time to download, so make sure that you have good bandwidth. Okay, so we have downloaded the Android Studio IDE. So now click on show in folder button. Double click on that to start the installation process. Now click on run. So this is the first page. Okay, so now click on next button. Okay, so these are the components that will get installed on your computers. Okay, so first one is Android Studio. You cannot uncheck that because that's the IDE. Next one is Android SDK. It's a software development kit. You need to have that in order to develop the applications. And the next thing is Android virtual device. If you want to have an emulator, then you can check it, otherwise you can uncheck it. Okay, so I'll be using the emulator, that's why I'm keeping it. Okay, now click on next. Now this is the agreement. You can read it if you want. Now click on I agree button. Okay, so this is the Android SDK location. Okay, so the default location is C, users, whatever your computer's username is, app data, local, Android SDK. App data is by default hidden directory, and this is where your Android Studio IDE will get installed. C program files, Android Studio. Okay, So now click on next button. Okay, next. Now it is extracting all the dependencies. Okay, so now the SDK is extracted. Now click on next, and now click on start Android Studio. Finish. Okay. So you need to check this radio button. I do not have any previous version of Android Studio. Okay, so now click on next, click on OK button. Okay, so click on cancel if it says so. Now click on next. Okay, now in most cases you don't need to go to the custom menu. Okay, you can continue with the standard. Okay, there are some other dependencies that it will download again. Okay, so now click on finish. Android SDK is up to date, it is saying. Click on finish. Okay, now if you are seeing this window, you have successfully installed Android Studio. Okay, so we have installed Android Studio on Windows platform. Now we'll be installing Android Studio on Ubuntu. Okay, now we'll give the demonstration on that platform. Okay, so now I'll demonstrate you how to install Android Studio on Ubuntu. Okay, so I'm in my Ubuntu system right now. Okay, open your browser, search for Android Studio. Okay, go to that link again. Now click on this button, download Android Studio. Okay, as you can see over here, for Linux, because we are using Ubuntu. Click on that, check the terms and conditions, and now click on download Android Studio. Okay, it will download this file. This file is of 430 MB. Okay, it will take some time to download. Okay, now right click and click on this open containing folder. Okay, so this is our zip package that we have downloaded. Okay, so extract it. Okay, so now go to the extracted directory. Okay, and we are interested in bin folder actually. Okay, so open your terminal by pressing Ctrl Alt T. Okay, you can start the terminal from here as well. You can type the terminal. Okay, and you can open the terminal in this way as well. Okay, so we need to go to the downloads directory first. CD downloads. Okay, now our directory's name is Android Studio. CD Android Studio. Okay, now if I fire ls query, you can see there is a directory called bin grad. Again, there is another directory called gradle. Okay, so we need to go into bin directory. So cd bin. Now we need to run that studio.sh file. So for that, it's a shell script, so you need to write sh space studio.sh. Okay, and click enter. It will start the installer. Okay, so now again, I do not have any previous version of Android Studio. Okay, now click on OK button. Okay, so now click on next. Again, we'll go with standard option. Okay, so these are the SDK components that it will download now. Okay, the total download size is about 947 MB. So now click on next. Okay, it is telling me that Android emulator can run in accelerated mode. Okay, so now click on finish. Okay, now it is downloading all those SDK dependencies SDK files. It will take some time to download it. Now it is unzipping all the files. Okay, so it is showing me this error, unable to run MK SDK tool, make SD card tool. Okay, so for that there are some commands that we need to run, there are some libraries that we need to install. This is that command, these are the libraries that we need to install. Okay, so you'll be writing sudo apt-get install lib32z1. These are all 32-bit binaries that we need in order to start the Android Studio. Okay, so enter your password and it will download all these libraries. I'm going to put this command in the description as well, so you can copy it from there. Okay, so now let's run the installer again. Okay, so the studio.sh file, that's the file we need to run. Okay, again click on next, standard. Okay, wait for the download to complete again. Okay, so if you see this Android SDK is up to date, you can click on finish now. Okay, so now if you are seeing this window, you have successfully installed Android Studio in Ubuntu.